What's up, Chucky boys? It's me, Chucky the boy. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make some of these custom wood ornaments. Oh, there we go. Stuff like this, little designs. There we go. So let's see what we need to get this started. You're going to need some type of wood that you can cut into discs. I prefer mine to be like 3 inches to 4 inches wide. Next up, you're going to need some sort of saw. You're going to be cutting that stuff up, right? We got 80 and 150. And over there on my miniature workbench, I've got another sanding pad, which is 220 grit. I got some cutting board oil, just because it helps keep the water out, helps keep stuff like that from happening with the mold. Last, you're gonna need some sort of wood burner. I've got a whole kit. I got it from Hobby Lobby for like 25 bucks. You can get other ones for $15 if you really want to. This is not a very expensive project to pull off. Last thing you need though, some clamps, necessity. Everything I do, I just clamp my wood pieces to the trailer and then frickin' make it work, bro. My back be hurting though, no cap. First, I'm gonna show you how to clamp up this piece of wood so you can cut it in a straight line. We're gonna need a couple of things. The log you choose and those clamps. I like to set mine up on the right side because I'm right-handed, so it's easier to get the saw going that way. I like to put one clamp on the back of the side of the wood and one clamp on the actual piece of wood. I'll show you what that looks like. I put one clamp on the back side just so I can press against it and it stops it, and the other piece, clamp it on there so it really holds it down. And now we got a good solid workspace. Now you want to grab your saw. I'm no woodworking professional, but I've learned a couple things on YouTube, right? So one thing my boy Paul Sellers taught me is whenever you're cutting, you want to set it up so your blade is straight with the wood, the cut you want to make. Then you want your wrist and then your elbow all to be in a line. And then you want to put your eye right above that. So basically you're looking at this piece of wood like this. And that helps you make sure that you get these cuts perfectly straight. Set the blade right where you want it. Make sure I keep the blade up and down. Start with a push. Take it slow. You just go ham. You can see my saw is almost all the way through the wood. You want to slow down at that point to prevent blowout on the back sides. You don't want this piece of wood to chip at all. You want to make sure it all stays in one piece. So you want to take nice, easy strokes. There we go. Once you actually cut your piece off of your log, you want to check both sides of it, because before you keep working, you want to make sure that this piece of wood is going to be good when you finish. So for instance, you see on this piece, we have some pretty big cracks, some mold growing in. This side looks really good, but since this piece already has cracks, the more it dries out, the higher is the likelihood that it will crack through on this side as well, ultimately just destroying all your work on this ornament. So for this piece specifically, I'm gonna toss it. I don't need it. Now me, I already got a lot of discs cut, so we're gonna come right over here. Boom. Just like that. Now this is a pretty good piece. It's already been dried out, so I don't have to worry about it shrinking or cracking anymore, really. Now we just need to clean it up. We need to get all this bark off here. This is another tool I forgot to mention, that you're gonna need a file of some sort. Pieces of the bark here, you can see there's cracks in between them, and we wanna remove that. The easiest way to do it is just hit it with that side of the rasp. Now that we've got the majority of the bark off of the outside piece here, we want to start cleaning up the two faces, the front and the back. Another thing I like to do with this rasp before I finish with it is I just put a little bevel on all the edges. This helps, so if you drop it, it kind of helps prevent cracks. I mean, if you're not an idiot and you don't drop it, you should be fine, but look at me. I'm in a garage making ornaments with a trailer. After we get all that bark off and we've got a nice bevel on the corners here, we want to go ahead and sand it down. So I'm starting off with my 80 grit sandpaper, and then we're going to step it up to 150. And then we'll finish it with the 220. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at now as far as the sanding goes. I've still got a couple little divots here, but I'm not too worried about them. So now let's get to working on our design. So the way that this ornament or this piece of wood is cut, I like this piece up here. And so I want to face this piece up. So I just like to mark that with a circle. And now that we know which way is up, I get a piece of paper just like this. Let me see if I can get a better, not really. Okay, well, I get a piece of paper and I just go ahead and I trace around the ornament here. Get around this side. Damn, this is difficult with a camera in the way. Over here. There we go. And this makes it a lot easier to kind of draw and erase and draw and erase over and over again, because on wood, it gets difficult. The graphite, it gets stuck all up in the grains and it gets absorbed. Of course, I went for a super creative idea. You can do a lot of other designs Some of my favorites, I like snowmen, Christmas trees. You can do Rudolph, Santa. You get a nice snowman in here. Night, stars, snowflakes, trees. You want to get pretty festive with your designs. It makes it a lot more appealing to put on the tree. This is kind of just a scrap piece I'm doing for the purpose of this video. So now we've got a pretty rough drawing on paper. Obviously you can see my letters are pretty crooked. We want to transfer this over to the piece of wood now. And when you're doing it onto the piece of wood, you want to be very careful and you want to take very light passes with your pencil. You don't really want to get any dark shaded lines like this, because it just makes it more difficult to erase it in the event that you make a mistake. I'm just kind of mapping out the overall look here. And this is gonna help me better align my letters and make sure they don't look as sloppy as they did on paper. Now that I've kind of sketched those on there, I'm pretty happy with this the way it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and start burning. I could not find the music that I wanted to put in the background here, so I'm just gonna step in and say hello, goodbye. I'm gonna go ahead and add in some snowflakes. Maybe I'll do a tree in the background or something. Maybe freehanding the moon was not the best idea. I'll do a large snowflake in the corner. I'm pretty much done with the wood burning aspect for right now. I'm gonna go ahead and hit this with a light sanding with the 150 grit sandpaper. I drilled the hole in the top of the piece as well up here. I like to go ahead and use the wood burner, and it takes a second, but I just kind of hold it there and I burn the hole out. I like doing it. You don't have to. Damn, that's a lot of smoke. Okay, this is what we're gonna be using. It's just cutting board oil. The important part is that it's colorless and odorless. Those are the two main factors you see there at the top. Hit the front with a lot of it. You really need a lot here. Kind of pat on it a little bit. And then I like to flip it over. And I use the same wet spot to land it on the back. It's not perfect. There's still a couple dry spots on the back, stuff like that. So I just go back through with the rag that has the stain on it, or the sealer. Just kind of make sure you rub everything in. The thing about the sealer is the piece of wood is gonna stay like kind of wet for a little bit, and that's just because the oil is still absorbing. Once the wood really absorbs all the oil, then it'll be good to go. And I just like to take a little bit of this string here, sisal twine I think it's called, and I just cut off a piece and I use that as the way that you'd hang it on the tree. I hope y'all enjoyed my video on how to make your own wood ornament, wood burned ornament, and I guess that's it. Chucky boy out, adios. That was cringy.
Go subscribe to the Chucky boy, this baby.